Let me ask you something. Why is it that you know exactly what you need to do, but still don't do it? You know you should work out. You know you should study. You know you should build that business, write that script, or fix your life. Yet somehow, Netflix wins, scrolling wins, tomorrow wins. Here's the truth most people never hear. You are not lazy. You are not weak. And you do not lack discipline. Your brain is simply doing its job, and today I'm going to show you how to override it. This is called the override method, a psychological system used by elite performers to trick their brain into doing hard things without motivation. If you master this, procrastination loses its power over you. Let's talk about why your brain fights hard work. Your brain has one primary mission: keep you safe, save energy, and avoid pain. Hard work looks like danger to your brain. Not physical danger, but mental effort, uncertainty, and the possibility of failure. So when you try to do something difficult, your brain activates its defense system. It starts whispering things like, "I'm tired," or "let's do it later." Or maybe, "this isn't the right time," or "you need more motivation first." That's not weakness. That's biology. Your brain evolved to survive the jungle, not to build a six-figure business, study for exams, or hit the gym after work. So if you wait until your brain feels ready, you'll wait forever. You're trying to use a survival tool for a modern world problem, and it's just not designed for that. The key isn't to fight your brain head-on. It's to outsmart it. Now let's expose the biggest lie about motivation. Most people believe this lie. Once I feel motivated, I'll start. It sounds logical, right? But neuroscience shows the complete opposite is true. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. Think about it. Motivation is a reward chemical. It's released after you start moving, not before. Waiting for motivation to strike is like waiting to build muscles before you even go to the gym. It's backward. That's why disciplined people don't rely on feelings. Feelings are unreliable. They rely on systems. And the most powerful system is what we're here to talk about: the override method. So what exactly is the override method? It's beautifully simple. Instead of trying to convince your brain to work, you just bypass it. You stop negotiating. You stop thinking. You stop waiting for the right feeling. You override that initial fear response system and move straight into action. I'm not talking about big, scary action. I mean tiny, controlled action. Because the moment you start moving, your brain switches modes. The resistance starts to disappear. You're no longer fighting your own biology. You're working with it. By taking that first tiny step, you signal to your brain that the danger is gone, and it can stop sounding the alarm. This is how you reclaim control and get things done, whether you feel like it or not. Have you ever sat down, looked at a huge project, and just felt paralyzed? Your brain hates big commitments. So stop telling yourself things like, "I'm going to work for the next 2 hours," or "I have to finish this entire thing today." That's a recipe for procrastination. Instead, try what I call a micro start. Tell yourself, "I'll just open the document," or "I'll just write one single sentence." If you want to work out, say, "I'll just do 10 push-ups." It sounds almost too simple. But here's the magic. Your brain doesn't resist these tiny tasks, and once you start, momentum takes over. See, starting something requires a lot of willpower, but continuing it requires much less. The secret to productivity isn't about forcing yourself to finish. It's about tricking yourself to start. Now let's talk about time. Goals like "I'll study for 1 hour" or "I'll work for 2 hours" can feel like a prison sentence to your brain. All it hears is suffering and endless effort. So flip the script. Switch from time-based goals to action-based goals. Instead of an hour of work, aim to write 100 words. Instead of 2 hours of studying, aim to read 2 pages. Or if you're a creator like me, edit 1 clip. Your brain craves clarity and loves finite, specific tasks. It can handle effort when it knows there's a clear finish line. You're not committing to a long period of pain. You're just committing to one single, achievable action. So much of our procrastination happens inside our own heads, right? We debate with ourselves. We analyze. We negotiate. Should I do it now? Maybe later? I don't feel like it. It's a game you're almost guaranteed to lose. The solution? Stop thinking and just move. The very moment you feel that resistance creeping in, don't even ask yourself, "Should I do this?" Just say, "I'm doing it now," and physically do something. Open the app. Stand up from your chair. Move your body. Your thoughts lose their power the instant your body starts moving. Here's another powerful trick for when you feel that hesitation. It's called the 5-second override. The moment you feel yourself starting to delay, just count down from 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then move immediately. No more thinking. This simple countdown works wonders because it interrupts your pattern of overthinking. It shifts control from your emotions back to your actions and creates a sense of urgency. It's a technique elite performers use to bypass fear and doubt. Remember, hesitation thrives in delay, but action kills it on the spot. Now for the deepest level, your identity. Your brain will always try to act in a way that matches what you believe about yourself. If you constantly tell yourself, "I'm so lazy," or "I just don't have any discipline," guess what? Your brain will find ways to prove you right. You have to change that internal script. Start telling yourself, "I'm the kind of person who starts, even when I don't feel like it," or "I don't wait for motivation to strike." You don't need to feel confident before you start. Confidence is built by keeping the small promises you make to yourself. Every tiny action you take helps rewire your identity into someone who gets things done. Let's make this super practical. Don't feel like working out? Just put on your workout shoes. That's it. Don't feel like studying? Just open the book to the right page. Don't want to create that piece of content? Just open the editing software. The goal isn't to finish the whole task. The goal is simply to override that initial resistance. Here's the honest truth. Hard things don't get easier by waiting. They get easier because you start even when you're scared or unmotivated. You don't need more motivation. You need fewer negotiations with your own brain. Override it. Start small. Move fast. And always remember this. You don't act because you feel ready. You feel ready because you act. Action is what changes everything. If this video helped you out, please give it a like, subscribe for more, and share it with someone you know who's stuck waiting for motivation. Thanks for watching. Let's talk about something most people get wrong about getting things done. It's this idea that you just need more willpower. But here's the truth no one really tells you. Willpower is not a reliable friend. It's a limited resource. Think of it like your phone battery. It gets drained throughout the day. By the time you get home from a long, stressful day at work, that willpower battery is probably flashing red. So when you tell yourself, "Okay, tonight I'm going to be disciplined and finally tackle that big project," your brain just kind of scoffs at the idea. It knows you're running on empty. This is exactly why so many people start a new habit with tons of enthusiasm, only to quit a few days later. They burn through their willpower too quickly. But what if you didn't have to rely on it? The override method is designed to work precisely when you're tired, stressed, and have zero motivation left. It doesn't try to power through resistance. It simply sidesteps it, making it possible to act even when you feel like you can't. Now, let's tackle another common myth, the energy trap. So many of us think, "I'm just too tired to start. I don't have the energy." We believe that energy only comes from rest. But that's only half the story. A huge source of energy actually comes from engagement, from taking action. Action creates its own energy. Have you ever noticed how a short walk can suddenly clear your head and make you feel more alert? Or how writing just one sentence can suddenly unlock a flood of ideas? Or how doing that first rep at the gym somehow makes the second one feel easier? That's not a coincidence. Your brain releases dopamine, the feel-good chemical, after you make progress, not before. It rewards action. So the question isn't, do I have enough energy to do this whole thing? The real game-changing question is, what is the absolute smallest action I can take right now that will create a little bit of energy? That's the core of the override method. Let's get real for a second. When you're procrastinating, what are you actually avoiding? Most of the time, it's not the work itself. We're not afraid of typing on a keyboard or reading a book. We're avoiding the feeling that comes with the work. We're avoiding the fear of looking stupid, of failing in front of others, or of having to face the fact that maybe we're not as perfect or talented as we like to believe. Difficult tasks can feel like a threat to our identity. So our brain, in its effort to protect us, whispers, "Hey, let's just wait. Maybe we'll feel more ready tomorrow." It's a self-preservation instinct. The override method completely reframes this. The goal isn't to succeed or be perfect. The goal is simply to execute one tiny manageable step. No judgment, no pressure about the final outcome. Just pure simple movement. When you do this, you take fear out of the equation entirely. You're just taking a step and anyone can do that. So what happens in your brain when you finally take that first small step? It's fascinating. You actually trigger a neurological switch. Your brain shifts from what's called the default mode network, which is active when you're daydreaming or worrying, into the task-positive network. This is the network for getting things done. And when that switch flips, something amazing happens. Your focus sharpens. Your background anxiety starts to fade away. You might even experience that feeling of flow where time seems to distort and you read completely absorbed in what you're redoing. This is why that initial start is everything. It's the catalyst for the entire process. The override method is engineered to flip this switch as quickly and efficiently as possible. It's not about psyching yourself up with hype or motivational quotes. It's about using a tiny physical action to change your brain state and build unstoppable momentum. Thanks for watching, and if you found this helpful, make sure to follow for more. Let's talk about the override morning protocol. This is a super simple daily system that requires zero motivation. Seriously, it's just 3 steps. Step 1. The moment you wake up, do one physical action immediately. It could be a few push-ups, a quick stretch, or just walking around the room. Anything to get your body moving. Step 2. No phone for the first 10 minutes of your day. Don't check notifications, don't scroll social media. Just give your brain 10 minutes to wake up without digital noise. And step 3. Start your hardest, most important task, but only for 3 minutes. That's it. Just 3 minutes. Why does this work? Most people waste their mornings stuck in decision-making mode. Should I work out? What should I eat? What should I work on first? The override protocol eliminates all those decisions. You just act. Thinking comes later, after you've already started. You're building momentum from the second you wake up, making it so much easier to have a productive day. It's about taking control before your brain has a chance to talk you out of it. Now let's be real. You're going to fall off the wagon sometimes. You'll have a day where you hit snooze, grab your phone, and do nothing. That is completely normal. The biggest mistake people make is thinking that one failure means they've lost all their discipline. That's not true at all. It just means you stopped using the system for a day. So here's the most important rule of the override method. Never miss twice. One bad day is just a blip. It happens. It doesn't matter, but 2 bad days in a row? That's when you start to create a new negative habit. It starts to damage your identity and you begin to think, see? I'm just not a disciplined person. So, the moment you realize you've had an off day, you restart the system immediately. No drama, no guilt, no emotion. Just get back to your small, immediate actions. A single day doesn't define you, but your response to that day does. This is where the override method completely clashes with mainstream motivation culture. Motivation culture tells you that you need to feel inspired first. You need to watch a motivational video, listen to a pump-up playlist, or find that perfect feeling before you can get to work. But what happens when that feeling isn't there? You do nothing. The override reality says something totally different. Move first. Action creates the feeling, not the other way around. Motivation is fickle. It comes and goes. But a system? A system is reliable. It's there for you on the good days and, more importantly, on the bad days. The most successful people you look up to don't wake up feeling magical and motivated every single day. They've just mastered the art of starting without needing permission from their feelings. They rely on their systems, not on fleeting inspiration. So let's get down to the final philosophy, the core truth of all this. You don't need a better mindset. You don't need to think more positively or find some deep inner strength. What you need is a better trigger. A trigger is a pre-planned action that kicks off a sequence. Just like the morning protocol. The entire override method teaches you one fundamental lesson. You don't negotiate with resistance. You don't have a debate with that little voice in your head that tells you to stay in bed or check your phone. You move before it even has a chance to speak. It's all about small action, immediate action, repeated daily. That is how you take things that feel incredibly hard and turn them into something that's just a normal part of your day. It's not about becoming a superhero. It's about building a better system. Thanks for watching. If this helped you, make sure to like and subscribe for more. Let's talk about something uncomfortable. The smarter you are, the more likely you are to procrastinate. Why? Because highly intelligent brains are masters of rationalization. They create the most perfect excuses, the most logical delays, and the most convincing forms of productive avoidance. Your brain tells you, let me just think about this a little bit more. Or I need to do more research first, or let me just prepare properly before I start. But soon, that preparation becomes a prison. You get so caught up in getting ready that you never actually get going. This is where the override method comes in. It breaks this paralyzing pattern. Instead of asking yourself, is this the absolute best move? Is this the perfect time? You ask a much simpler, more powerful question. What is the very next physical action I can take? Smart people truly start winning when they stop thinking like thinkers and start acting like executors. Now, let's look at the perfectionism trap. On the surface, perfectionism feels like having high standards, like a commitment to quality. But if you look at it neurologically, it's really just fear wearing a nice suit. It's the fear of being judged, the fear of being average, the fear of being exposed as not good enough. Perfectionism's main strategy is to delay action because action creates evidence. It creates something that can be critiqued. The override method destroys perfectionism by design. You don't aim for perfect. You aim for started. You aim for done. Because messy, imperfect action rewires your confidence way faster than flawless, endless planning ever will. Think about it. Every time you act, you prove to yourself that you can. So, how does this work in practice? It's through something called the override loop. This is the simple loop that elite performers live by, whether they realize it or not. First, resistance appears. That feeling of, I don't want to do this. Second, a countdown begins. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Third, a micro-action is executed. Just one tiny physical step. Fourth, momentum kicks in. That tiny step makes the next one easier. And fifth, your identity is reinforced. You see yourself as someone who acts. Repeat this loop daily. This isn't about white-knuckling your way through with discipline. This is about conditioning. Just like your muscles adapt to lifting weights, your brain adapts to movement. You're training it. Soon, starting becomes your default, your automatic response, not something you have to force. Let's dig deeper into training your brain like a muscle. Your brain is a pattern recognition machine. If you consistently delay, then delay becomes your default neural pathway. It becomes your habit. But if you consistently move immediately, even on a small scale, action becomes automatic. The override method trains your response speed. You're not training for a specific outcome, like writing a perfect chapter or running a marathon. You are training your reaction to resistance. That's the real skill. The ability to feel that internal no and move forward anyway. That is the superpower that changes everything. This brings us to one of the biggest lies we tell ourselves. I'll do it later. Later feels so harmless, right? It's just a slight postponement. But what your brain actually hears is, this is not urgent. And urgency is the fuel for action. Without it, things just don't get done. The override method eliminates later from your vocabulary. In this system, there are only two modes: now or not at all. If something truly matters, it gets moved to the now category. This simple binary choice forces clarity and cuts through all the excuses. It makes you decide what's actually important. But what about feelings? I just don't feel like it. This is the emotional override. Here's the secret. You don't wait to feel disciplined. You act despite your emotions. The surprising truth is that emotion follows action, not the other way around. You feel good after you go to the gym, not before. You feel motivated after you write the first paragraph. This is exactly why soldiers train under extreme stress and why athletes practice when they're tired. They are conditioning themselves to perform regardless of how they feel. The override method teaches you to move when your emotions are screaming don't. And that right there is real power. Every time you do this, you're doing more than just getting a task done. You're engaging in identity reprogramming. Each time you override resistance, you send a powerful message to your subconscious brain. I am reliable. I follow through. I am the kind of person who does what they say they will do. True confidence isn't loud or arrogant. It's a quiet certainty. And it's built through the repetition of keeping promises to yourself, one small action at a time. It's not built on hype or motivation. It's built on evidence. So I want to give you a challenge. The 30-day override challenge. It's simple. For the next 30 days, I want you to do 4 things. 1. When resistance appears for any task, you start immediately. Use the 5-second countdown if you need to. 2. Use micro-actions only. Don't think about the whole project, just the first tiny step. 3. Never miss twice. If you slip up one day, you get right back on track the next. And 4, no self-judgment. If you miss, you just observe it and start again. That's it. Your life won't magically transform overnight. But you will. You will change from the inside out. So why will most people hear this and never actually do it? Because it's too simple. And simple can feel boring. People are always looking for complex hacks, a surge of motivation, some kind of magic pill. The override method is none of that. It's the simple, uncomfortable truth. It's about doing the small, unglamorous work consistently. And that is precisely why it works. When you practice the override daily, something incredible happens. The hard things start to lose their emotional charge. That big, scary project on your to-do list? It just becomes a series of small, manageable steps. It becomes routine, and routine beats talent. Routine beats motivation. And routine beats your mood every single day of the week. This leads to the final realization. You were never lazy. You were never broken. You were just waiting. Waiting for the right mood, the right time, waiting for someone to give you permission. The override method is you giving yourself that permission. Not tomorrow, not when you feel ready, but right now. So here's what I want you to remember from all of this. You don't rise to the level of your motivation. You fold to the level of your systems. And if you build the right system, a system of immediate action, you become unstoppable. So the next time resistance shows up in your life and it will, don't negotiate with it. Don't analyze it to death. And don't wait for it to go away. Just override. If this video changed how you see discipline and action, do me a favor and hit that like button. If you want to take back control over your actions and your life, subscribe for more content just like this. And finally, share this video with someone you know who keeps waiting to feel ready, because readiness is a lie. Action is the truth. Thanks for watching. You know, your brain isn't actually afraid of hard work. What it really fears is uncertainty. The moment you decide to start something important, your brain floods you with questions. What if I fail? What if I'm just wasting my time? What if I'm not good enough for this? This deep-seated uncertainty feels like a genuine threat, like danger lurking in the shadows. So what does your brain do? It hits the brakes. It delays action to protect you from those scary, unknown outcomes. But here's a powerful idea. The override method. This isn't about promising you certainty, because life doesn't work that way. Instead, it completely removes the need for it. You stop asking, will this work? And start asking, what is the very next controllable action I can take? It's a game changer because control beats certainty every single time. By focusing on what you can do right now, you sidestep the paralysis of the unknown. Let's debunk a common myth about dopamine. Most people think it comes from pleasure, like scrolling through social media. That's wrong. True dopamine comes from progress. That endless scrolling? It gives you a quick, cheap hit of fake progress, which is why it feels good for a moment. Real work, on the other hand, often feels heavy and difficult at first, precisely because you haven't made any progress yet. The override method is about creating real dopamine by force. You just take one tiny step, make one small move, complete one simple action. And just like that, the chemistry in your brain starts to change. This is the secret behind why action always feels easier once you've finally started. Now, let's talk about the pain delay illusion. Your brain tells you this very convincing lie. If I put this off, it won't be as painful later. But the opposite is true. Delaying only makes the pain compound. Guilt starts to stack up. Stress builds and builds. And your confidence erodes with every moment you procrastinate. The override method collapses all that future pain into one small, manageable moment. You're making a choice. 5 seconds of discomfort right now instead of weeks or even months of regret down the line. That isn't just a tactic, that's real power. Have you ever wondered how elite performers think differently? They don't wake up and ask, how do I feel today? Instead, they ask, what needs to move next? They understand that emotion is just information, it's not a command. Override is the tool that separates your feelings from your actions. You can feel the fear, acknowledge it, and then act anyway. That right there is the fundamental difference between staying stuck and achieving greatness. Let's get real for a second. Life is messy. You won't always feel calm and collected. It gets heavy. But the beauty of the override method is that it still works, even in the middle of chaos, because it doesn't require you to believe in it. It only requires movement. Even a broken system can produce progress if that first action is tiny enough. This brings me to another point. Trying doesn't work. The word try is vague. Your brain can't execute a command as fuzzy as try. Override demands absolute precision. You don't say, I'll try to work on that report. You say, I will open the file now, or I will write one sentence. This kind of precision cuts through resistance like a knife. It eliminates the wiggle room that your brain uses to procrastinate. And when we procrastinate, what happens? We fall into the shame cycle. Procrastination creates shame, and shame kills our motivation to act. It's a vicious loop. Override breaks this cycle by removing judgment from the equation. You stop asking yourself, why am I like this? What's wrong with me? And you start asking, what is the smallest possible move forward? There's no self-attack, no drama, just simple forward motion. Every time you do this, you're doing something incredible. You're rebuilding self-trust. Confidence isn't a personality trait you're born with. It's evidence you collect over time. Every single time you use the override method to push through resistance, you make a deposit of trust into your own brain. Here's a practical way to integrate this into your life. The override evening reset. Before you go to sleep, do these 3 things. First, name one action you took today, despite resistance. Second, forgive one failure instantly, without judgment. And third, decide on tomorrow's first micro-action. What's the one tiny thing you'll do as soon as you start your day? Notice there's no big motivation talk, no deep, complicated reflection. Just clarity, and clarity creates a sense of calm. You might wonder why so many other productivity systems fail. It's because most of them are too complex. The override method is primitive, and that's its superpower. Your brain, especially when it's under pressure, obeys simplicity. The simpler the instruction, the more likely you are to follow through. This also helps us destroy the discipline myth. We tend to think of discipline as some kind of inner toughness or willpower that only a few people have. But discipline isn't toughness, it's responsiveness. It's about how fast you act the moment resistance appears. If you train that speed, making the gap between feeling resistance and taking action as small as possible, discipline starts to feel less like a struggle and more like an automatic response. When you first start using the override method, it will feel forced. You're pushing against years of ingrained habits. But over time, it becomes natural. Eventually, the things that once felt impossibly hard start to lose their weight. That's the magical point where flow begins to replace friction. You're no longer fighting yourself. You're just doing. And then, one day, you'll have a profound realization. You'll notice that you don't wait anymore. You don't wait for motivation. You don't wait for the right mood. You don't wait for permission. That is the final identity shift. The real win isn't the success, the money, or the status. It's becoming a person who is reliable to others, and most importantly, to yourself. So let's wrap this up. You were never missing motivation. You were missing a trigger. The override method is that trigger. It's not something to start tomorrow or when you feel ready. The time is now. If this helped you feel like you can take back control, please subscribe to the channel. If you know someone who feels stuck and is always delaying, share this with them. And always remember, resistance is not a stop sign, it's a start signal. It's your cue to override it. Thanks for watching.